Paleontogeny.
Golden Egg gifted a Tier 1 sub to Swims with Whales. They have given 332 gift subs in the channel.
Welcome to We Sing Dinosaurs.
Deinonychus lived in the early Cretaceous period, after Allosaurus and before Tyrannosaurus rex.
One of the most fearsome hunters wasn't big at all. He measured close to 10 feet long and only 5 feet tall. Deinonychus, with his powerful jaws. Deinonychus, with his terrible claws. When they spied a likely foe, they'd race to the attack.
I actually really like this song.
With his powerful jaws, Deinonychus, with his terrible
This song
claws. His arms were long to hold his prey, sharp claws were used to grip. But the deadly claw was on his foot, the one he used to rip. Deinonychus, with his powerful jaws. Deinonychus, with his terrible claws. He wasn't a big dinosaur, but will the doctor say he must have been the very fierce hunter on the shore. Deinonychus, with his powerful jaws. Deinonychus,
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Paleontologizing. It's really good to have you here, and glad you could join me for another exciting stream today. We don't have too much planned on today's broadcast, but we'll be assembling more of our 3D printed Allosaurus skull. And then I think we might take a look at an old video that I found over the weekend. It'll be fun to revisit a 1990s little number with Walter Cronkite hosting. And Dr. Irrefutable, holy cow. I appreciate that very much.
All right.
4 months of support. Thank you, Dr. Irrefutable. Thanks for keeping me here on the air. And to everybody who's maybe new, or if it's your first time watching, or even if it's not, welcome to Paleontologizing, welcome back. It's good to have you here. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. You probably know already that a paleontologist is a scientist who studies fossils. I work on dinosaur fossils in particular, as you can probably guess. Looking at my office here, why am I out of focus? I'll tell you, this camera... We'll have to see about that. Anyway, but it's great to have you here, everybody. Here on Paleontologizing, we go over some of the latest fossil news, we talk about new publications in paleontology, I answer whatever questions you may have about fossils, natural history, dinosaurs in particular, since that's actually what I study, what I publish on, and what I dig up. Just got back about a week and a half ago from the field, where I was broadcasting live from the eastern Utah desert, digging up some earliest Cretaceous dinosaurs. Check out the VODs or the YouTube page if you'd like to see some of those adventures. Those streams were a ton of fun, and if you missed out on those, we'll have more coming up live next summer. And maybe even some before then, we'll have to see. And Onlysaurus XD, thank you for the follow. Sounds like you're in the right place. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Good to have you here. And Simba Kabwa says, hello from London. Hope everyone here is well. Thank you, Simba, for chiming in. It's good to see you. Do you think humans had pets from the Pleistocene epoch? I mean, we've got evidence of the early domestication of the dog that may have taken place back in the Pleistocene. I'm not sure. The latest Pleistocene, maybe. You know what you all think? Simba? We don't have any fossil evidence of that, except maybe the domestication of dogs, I think. That might even be later than the Pleistocene, though. I'm not 100% sure. But, might be earliest Holocene or something. But yeah, it's interesting to think about, right? If any ancient humans, maybe in Pleistocene North America, or Europe, or Australia, or Africa, anywhere, would have been able to tame some of the cool megafauna and maybe raise a young mammoth from, I don't know. It's almost difficult to imagine, though. Mammoths have pretty tight-knit social structures, and it'd be hard to acquire a baby mammoth unless you don't even want to think about how you would go about doing that. Anyway, it's good to have you here. Welcome, Simba. Retro Roadshow, how are you doing? Claire Burr, Jack Burton, Pink Panther, MS Coggins, hello to all of you. Dr. Tara, what's shaking with you? It's good to see you. Yeah. Oh, an interesting Dr. Tara. That's cool. I'm a little bit reticent to, like, use other people's content like that live on stream, but maybe I'll check those out later. But yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Let's see what we've got on today's agenda. Got those. Let's check on the 3D printer right now. For those of you who may not be aware, we've been printing a life-size Allosaurus skull. And we're maybe about halfway through it, which is really exciting. It's gonna look like this when it's finished. 83 centimeters long, life-size Allosaurus fragilis skull. Allosaurus is one of the biggest theropod dinosaurs from the Morrison Formation, the late Jurassic of North America. Here's the skull, next to an apple. For scale. Where did that go? Right there, yeah. And here is what we have so far. Here is the lower jaw. Right there. Excellent. I am super excited about this. We actually assembled this live on stream. Had a special stream when we assembled the lower jaw. Life size. And here's what we have of the skull so far. So, yeah, we put this piece on yesterday, the jugal bone. We've got another jugal that just finished printing this morning. Early this morning. Printed it overnight. And we've got some other pieces. So we'll be assembling this in just a minute. Yeah. Oh shoot, and I'm sorry to hear that Retro Roadshow. Printing slump? Those are never fun. My printer goes on the fritz sometimes, and it's always disappointing when I can't have the thing running like 24/7. 'Cause there's so many cool things to print. You know? My office is full of all of these different prints that we've done in the past, and I have plans for many more. We're going to be printing a life-size Dippy Diplodocus skull, life-size Papasaurus skull. What else are we going to be doing? I want to print a big old coelacanth. I've got a Utah Raptor claw that I would really like to print. I could even do that this week, actually. So many different exciting things coming up to print. So yeah. And how much does it cost to produce that piece in total? Real Zabbit, you mean this? Well, luckily it cost me a lot less than it might cost somebody else because I received some of this filament in the mail as a gift from the viewers. I've got an Amazon wish list, and occasionally very generous viewers will spring for buying me some filament so that we can keep the 3D printer running more or less constantly. A kilogram of filament for this costs about $25. And this whole skull right here, all told, I think will be about 9 kilograms. Something like that. Let's see what the site says. Sorry, 6.3 kilograms, but I think that might not include the supports. So it's probably closer to 9, honestly. I think that's where I got that figure. Yeah. And Thagamizer, seen the hashtag Hadrophone on Twitter? I have not, no. Interesting. We might have to check that out. But first off, let's get some parts of these put on there. Here are the new pieces. Right here. So, we've got a few pieces that are going to go up near the lacrimals. I think these are actually part of the maxilla. This is going to go up by the jugal. And then these are more of the frontals. And I think we're going to put these on first. This, I think, is one of the... It's part of the vomers, but I don't have the back half of it printed. So we'll toss that one aside for now. And we'll get that done probably tomorrow. Yeah. And Simba, Deinosuchus, and Mosasaurus, I don't think ever would have encountered one another because they lived at different times. Mosasaurus, as far as I know, is from the very end of the Cretaceous, the Maastrichtian age. Deinosuchus dies out, I think, at the end of the Campanian, so they never would have met. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. And Diluta says, this office may have to expand to accommodate all these great prints. That's the thing. Luta is, I might actually be moving. Sometime before about New Year's. I might be moving to a totally new office streaming space. So stay tuned, and we'll see what happens there. Yeah, exciting stuff. It should be slightly larger and a more modular space, which would be really nice. Yeah, not a big office, but just a different space that's kind of custom built for these streams. And Truckhorn, yep, still in the Bay Area, yes. All right, let's go ahead and start gluing this. Yeah. There we are. And BJK, this is the copper-colored filament that I really like. Here's another jugal right here. There we go. The jugal is basically this bone on our body. This would be our zygomatic bone. It's got a different name in certain mammals like humans, but it's the jugal bone from up here. It's this right there. And I'm going to go ahead and test fit this right here. It's going to go on just like that. Very nice. Yeah. But you can get this color filament wherever fine 3D color, the 3D printer filaments are sold. There we go. I can set that there. Hopefully, it won't fall over on me. Be very gentle about this. I'm really running out of this adhesive. Shoot, I need to get some more of this. I might even have to switch to something else in the middle of this stream. Because this is just the last dregs in there. Scoop that out. Yeah. And hey, Wondergoon, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you. Hope all is well. There we go. It's nice and gummy. it really does seem like we are running out of this stuff. I would place another order, but this is some pricey stuff, and I don't know if I can afford it, so I'm gonna have to switch to another kind of glue, I betcha. We might even do that right now. But let's get this on there. There we go. So I'm just gonna hold that in place, and it's gonna do its chemical thing, start bonding those plastics together. There we go. And Simba says, do you think it's possible to become a paleontologist at the age of 25? And if so, what pathways would you recommend? It's a great question, Simba. It is 1,000,000% possible. The best advice that I can give you is to start working in a museum, if you can. Whether that's as a volunteer, or if you can't afford to volunteer, maybe if you can land a job as a custodian, or working the front desk, or in the gift shop, or anything like that. If you just get yourself into a museum, if there's a museum near where you live, then that will open up all kinds of opportunities for you. You will meet other paleontologists. You can become involved in the organization at large. That's how I got my start. Back when I was in high school, I started volunteering at the University of California Museum of Paleontology in Berkeley, California. That's kind of near where I grew up. I lived in the far East Bay, over the hills, like Martinez, Pleasant Hill, that area there. And I, during the summers, any day that, or any other day that I wasn't, you know, actively in classes at school, I would take the train over to Berkeley, California, and I would volunteer at the museum there. They didn't have a volunteer program when I started, but, no. I just kind of started hanging out there. I sent some emails, I asked around, and eventually, Dr. Patricia Holroyd kind of took pity on me, took me on as a volunteer, and kind of became my mentor while I was in high school. And that was, that changed my life forever. If that had not taken place, I don't know where I would be today. So that's how I got my start as a paleontologist, was volunteering at UCMP, the University of California Museum of Paleontology. And that's the best piece of advice I can give anyone who wants to become a paleontologist. Put yourself where the action is. Get yourself into a museum, or if you can, volunteer on a field crew. You want to be around paleontologists. You know, you can go to school, you can take all the right classes, you can get a degree, everything else, but if you're not hanging out with paleontologists, you're not going to become a paleontologist, really. So that's my piece of advice for you. Yeah. And then the Pleistocene, very cool, Simba. Well, that's the wonderful thing about the Pleistocene, is there are fossils all over the world from the Pleistocene. And they tend to be fairly common, even in a lot of places that don't have a lot of exposed sedimentary rock. Because a lot of Pleistocene sediments nowadays are, well, they're like alluvium, you know? You don't have to go out to the Badlands. You don't have to go out to the deserts of the American West to find Pleistocene fossils. You can find them in urban areas, you know, when people are excavating the foundations for a house or whatever. If you're digging through Pleistocene alluvium, you will find Pleistocene fossils, eventually. And Ken, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome, Ken. It's good to have you back. Yeah. We need more mammal lovers, it says Ken. There you go. I guess we do. Yeah. And Rush says, so no real academic path to being one? No, there are definitely academic paths to being a paleontologist, but that's this kind of standard advice that you'll get from any other paleontologist. They'll say, oh yeah, go to school and take the right classes. But that's a way to get credentials eventually. It's not a way to become a paleontologist. It's not a way to actually do paleontology, if that makes sense. And especially if you're starting off as a non-traditional student, going and volunteering in a museum and seeing if that's what, you know, you're actually passionate about. That's really your best path, I think, if that makes sense. Yeah. There are lots of field crews around the world, too, that need volunteers. You know, we had a bunch of volunteers on our field crews this summer, both in Wyoming and in Utah. You saw some of them on the live streams over the past few months. And, yeah, it doesn't necessarily take any kind of formal training or credentials or anything like that. If you can get yourself onto a field crew and kind of prove yourself there, it can open up a lot of doors for you. Yeah. And you're welcome, Simba. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, and Thagamizer says, as someone who is too ill to volunteer and doesn't want to go to university, these streams are genuinely so useful for learning from. Thank you, Thagamizer. I appreciate that. Tell your friends. Yeah. It means a lot to me. It really does, Thagamizer. I want these streams to be a resource for people to ask questions. And, yeah. Holy cow. Look at that. Lovely. We've got both jugals on there now. The skull is starting to come together. I am very excited about this. All right, next up, let's throw on the extension of the nasals here. Right there. So this fits on just like that. This is the skull roof. So these are the same bones that you have, like right here, on your skull. This is basically the forehead of the animal. And those are the same exact bones in your body. Let me show you. Pull this up from Whitmer Lab. There we go. So this is a human skull, and it kind of explodes like that in order to give you a view of the different bones. These bones right here are the nasals. They're much shorter in a human being, obviously, because we don't have a very long snout. But that's them right there. So they are paired bones. Left and right there. There they are, the nasals. It's the same as right here on our Allosaurus. Yeah. Oh, and Riza Dego, thank you for making that connection in our conversation. Claire, thank you for reposting that. Yeah, like Adam, who is there in Wyoming with us. Doing some digging. Yeah, he didn't have any background in paleontology or anything, but he said, someday when I'm a dad, I want to have really cool stories, and so volunteering on a dinosaur dig is a great way to get some cool stories. And, yeah. So, Adam, future dad, he is going to have some very cool stories to tell his future children. Yeah. And BKJ says, besides Twitch, how do paleontologists make money? We mostly don't, BKJ. No, I'm being a little bit facetious. Nobody should become a paleontologist if they want to get rich. It's certainly not the way to do that. But most paleontologists who are employed as paleontologists nowadays will work within academia. So whether that's working as an adjunct professor or an assistant lecturer, or maybe a full professor if you get really lucky. Maybe you work in a position at a museum as a curator or a museum scientist or a laboratory technician. Or maybe you work in private industry outside of academia, doing like remediation at construction sites and stuff like that. Basically, when fossils are discovered during construction or road work, you know, you can get hired as a remediation paleontologist to save those fossils while that digging in the ground is going on for construction or road work or similar things. That's how the majority of paleontologists who are working today in the world make their living. In academia or as remediation paleontologists. Does that make sense? I hope so. Alright, I'm gonna see if we have enough of this in here. We are really running out of this. Shoot. No, I'm gonna have to make another glue concoction. Hang on just a moment. Let me grab some of that. Keep an eye on the 3D printer in the meantime. There we go. Yeah. And Ken says, have you thought about doing a skull half assembled / half blown up like the Tyrrell Tyrannosaurus? Is it Tyrannosaurus? I thought it was a Daspletosaurus. But I have thought about doing that. Yeah. Ken, were you here yesterday? We watched that video with the Irritator skull. You know, Spinosaurid. And that is held together with magnets, and it comes apart. That's super awesome. There we go. Check this out. Super, super cool. I mean, this is just awesome. Ellie J? The what? The what? The who? I didn't catch that. One more time? Again? I'm sorry. Who is this? Ellie J, thank you for the 12 months of support. That is brilliant. It really is. Appreciate you, Ellie J. I hope you're doing well. Alright, let's see if I can get this assembled. I'm not going to be able to actually show you the... Yeah, I just gotta have to do this. It's not really going to show up on camera very well. And it's kind of a delicate process. So, we can just do this.
This is a modern pueblo created by the people of the United States as a research and development center for atomic weapons.
Our glue is not working properly. Hang on a minute.
Is a distant and primitive area. Men have to leave their stateside laboratories and homes for a period running into months. Since 1943, when Los Alamos was established,
I think I can poke a hole with a safety pin. Let me do that. Yeah. And Cactus Jack says, I hope those pieces are numbered. That's the thing, is that if you know your theropod scullular anatomy, you can identify those different pieces. And, yeah, you don't have to worry about misplacing them or anything. Imagine that you're in the field, though, digging these up, like we were doing this summer. Having to figure out what is what while these things are chunked up and broken in the field. It can be very tricky, as you might imagine. Alright. Get this piece on here. Oh, nice. Nice and snug. That is beautiful. So I just have to let that sit for a while there. And just let it set. Yeah. Steely Dan says, what is the function of the notch? Forward the front of the upper jaw? Probably for fitting in fish. This is a fish-eating dinosaur. And, yeah. We call it the subrostral notch. Just about perfect for grasping fish. If that makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah. And Ali J says, sorry I haven't been around. Time zone meant it was hard to catch you in the field streams most of the time. No worries, Ali J. I'm just glad you're here. And thank you for your ongoing support. It means a lot to me, Ali. I hope you've been doing well. It's good to see you. Yeah. Earthtor says, what if the dinosaurs you're digging up and all are like 3D printed but with real material? That's how bone is made, Earthtor. It's like cell by cell. It's not 3D printed, obviously, but it's generated cell by cell within the embryo, as the embryo is growing, you know? Yeah. Bioprinting. That, yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Anywho, take a look. Very nice. Yeah! This is really coming together. This is really coming together. Oh man, that makes me excited. That's awesome. Let's put another piece on here now. We've got this right here, which is going to fit in right in front of the right jugal. And then the lacrimal is going to fit onto that. So let's get that installed on there. And again, sorry, this is kind of too big to fit in the camera view, so apologies for that. But so it goes. So I'm using some Gorilla Glue Clear Grip. Really excellent, like almost a rubber cement type glue. And then as an accelerant, I'm using some good old-fashioned cyanoacrylate from Bob Smith Industries. And so the cyanoacrylate, which is super glue, it helps speed up the process so everything sets faster. So we don't have to wait here for the long drying time that you have usually in rubber cement. So yeah. Yeah. There we go. Nice. And that's pretty well in there. Excellent. Very nice. That's this right here. So right here we're going to have the lacrimal bone, and this is going to be the eye socket. And the lacrimal is actually what is printing right now on our 3D printer. Let me show you what that is going to look like. Here again is our revised osteology of Allosaurus. Down to about page 65. There we go. So, yeah. This is the part that I just put on right there, I believe. So this is like the base of the lacrimal. And then we're going to do the upper part of the lacrimal right there with this big, beautiful crest on it. That is what is currently printing right now. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Yeah. Do I have that right? Hang on. Or is it part of the jugal? This is the jugal. But that's anterior to the jugal. Right, so this is the lower margin of the lacrimal bone right here. Or is this... Hang on. I'm confused now. Yeah, it doesn't show a suture right there. That's confusing. Oh well. Yeah. So model is definitely getting bigger, Wombat Hole. Holy moly. It continues to grow. Soon we'll have a complete Allosaurus fragilis skull. Hopefully it doesn't live up to its name in the sense that it, you know, fragilis. Hopefully it's not fragile. Hopefully it's nice and robust. That's the nice thing about 3D printer filament is it does tend to be far less brittle than an actual fossil bone and a lot lighter too. Alright. Next up, just a few little pieces right there to attach. So let's...
Hold on, something's coming out of here. Look, there's a bird, dude.
A bird?
It's good. Tony, I just heard it inside.
Ah, Dargor, thank you for the raid. And welcome to Paleontologizing. How are you doing? It's good to have you here. What's shaking? How did your stream go? Tell me all about it. And welcome to Paleontologizing. Holy Lifton, by the way, thank you for those 5 gift subs there. extraordinary. That is really excellent, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Holy Lifton. Next to you, there are now 5 people who won't have to watch any ads for the next 30 days. They get an ad-free paleontologizing experience.
Monsters, we came here to find fossils.
Vanderwild, thank you for the follow, too. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. We're from Spain. Oh. Claro que sí. Bienvenidos a Paleontologizing. Me llamo Dani Anduza, soy un paleontólogo. Estudio los dinosaurios. It's good to have you here. ¿Qué pasa? It's good to have you here, everyone. Thank you for joining us. In fact, Dargor, gracias por seguirme. Claro que sí. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Again, I hope you had a wonderful stream, and it's great to have you. In fact, I feel like maybe some introductions are in order here. I think I might introduce you to mi amigo, previously recorded Danny, who is kind of an ambassador for this channel. He's going to tell you a thing or two about who I am, why a paleontologist is here on Twitch in the first place, all that good stuff. So without further ado, I will leave you in his very capable hands as he sneaks up behind me right now. Previously recorded Danny, go ahead and show these new folks what this is all about. Well, thanks, present day Danny. Well, if you happen to be new around here, then welcome to Paleontologizing. You may well be wondering to yourself, well, if this is Twitch, then where are the video games? I'm gonna level with you here. I don't really do much in the way of video games. I'm a paleontologist. My name is Danny Anduza, and dinosaurs are my area of study. But how in the world does a paleontologist end up on Twitch? Well, you're about to find out. When I finished high school, I moved to Montana and immediately started work at Museum of the Rockies, which at the time was an unparalleled powerhouse of paleobiology. That program was built by this guy.
Famed paleontologist Alan Grant.
Well, kind of.
You consulted on that movie.
I did consult on all those
and they
movies.
said that the guy Alan Grant was you.
Yes, yeah, well, fortunately he didn't get eaten.
Meet Jack Horner, the real-life Alan Grant. He's one of the most prominent and controversial paleontologists in the country, a dyslexic MacArthur Foundation genius who never finished college and who says he doesn't care why dinosaurs went extinct. To him, the important part is how they lived.
It was at Museum of the Rockies, under the auspices of Jack Horner, that I learned how to be a dinosaur paleontologist. And a huge part of that I learned by working with Jack's final graduate student, a guy by the name of Denver Fowler, who would later go on to become curator of the Badlands Dinosaur Museum. Working with Denver, I did summer after summer of fieldwork in the remote Badlands of Montana. Together, we dug up more dinosaurs than we knew what to do with, at fossil sites numbering in the hundreds. In 2012, I discovered a new species of ceratopsian dinosaur, hopefully soon to be published. The next year, we excavated the world's smallest and youngest Tyrannosaurus rex. Then, we dug up a brand new ankylosaur.
Montana's news leader.
5 paleontologists are excavating what looks to likely be a new species of armored dinosaur.
So we found its head, and we found parts of its armor and plates, and so it should be a new species.
Not bad, right? Well, anyway, much like my fieldwork, my research also focuses on dinosaurs. For example, here's Triarchunkus, the last of the Alvarezsaurs, just published in July of 2020. One of my current projects focuses on Spinosaurids. I can't really talk too much about that until it's a little bit closer to publication, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, let's get back to how I ended up on Twitch. A couple years ago, things in Montana were declining rapidly, so I picked up and moved on to greener pastures. I'm so glad I did. And with that new perspective, I also realized that I have very little patience with the soul-crushing bureaucracy within academia. So for the time being anyway, I decided to take my career in a slightly different direction. I got hired for a job in early childhood education. As a teacher, I get to have a positive impact on kids' lives, to help them find a passion for science. Then, when COVID-19 showed up, the school had to close. But that didn't stop the teaching or the learning. We just moved online.
All right, friends. So we're going to be looking at a book in a little bit, but I thought we'd start off with a song. At 3, 2, 1. Oh, give me a home
where the hadrosaurs roamed, where triceratops bellowed and grazed, where erosion uncovers bones we seek to discover, for to strike the whole world amazed. Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where sails always heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. It was a pretty easy jump from teaching online to streaming on Twitch. I had my first broadcast in May, and I've been on here ever since. Now, I believe pretty strongly that any good scientist should also be a public servant. In my opinion, talking to everyday people about her science is one of the most important things that a researcher can do. I now have a golden opportunity to reach out directly to people where they are.
This is what I'm all about. And now, thanks to Twitch, I get to share it with you. And I'm so happy to be able to do so.
It's my intention to continue this mission of education by answering your questions, providing good science content, and working to grow this channel. And if you could help by following, or if you could afford it, by subscribing, I would be deeply grateful.
So anyway, to my regular viewers, thank you again for sitting through this. To everybody who's new, welcome. I'm genuinely, earnestly glad that you're here. I hope you stick around. We've got a remarkable little community here, and I'd be delighted if you join us. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back into it. So, present day Danny, back to you. Well, thank you very much, previously recorded Danny, and of course, thank you even more to Dargor for that wonderful raid. Man, do I appreciate that. Raids are one of the ways that new people find out about this channel, and it really helps further my mission of science outreach. So if any of you at all have got any questions about dinosaurs in particular, since that's what I study, what I dig up, what I publish on, that's my specialty, or if you have questions about broader topics, you know, whether it's the history of life on Earth, you know, the fossil record, extinction, evolution, or the philosophy of science, don't be shy with those questions. That's what I'm here for. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Yeah. And Bruce Lee says that was amazing. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Previously recorded Danny, he's generally pretty on top of things. And I think we'll be getting some more visits from new previously recorded Dannys, hopefully at some point in the next month. I'll have to see to that. It's a lot of work to put those videos together, but I'm going to be doing some new ones, talking about fieldwork streaming and stuff like that. For those of you who are new, I was streaming live from the field for about 2 months this summer, digging up fossils live in Wyoming and Utah, and, you know, streaming it. So check out the VODs or check out the YouTube page for that. Let me show you real quick. There we are. There's the YouTube page. And, yeah. Fieldwork streams, digging up some new dinosaurs in Eastern Utah.
Thank you, Claire Burr.
Yeah. Good stuff. Maybe Claire made it. Thanks, Claire. Anyway, here's me with Utah State paleontologists Don DeBlue and Jim Kirkland. And there's Fisher McDarmid, Ethan Cowgill, and I believe that's Ken there in the background. And Ken, are you still here in chat? Yeah. Awesome. So this is a lot of fun doing these streams live from the field. We had pretty excellent viewership, and that made me really happy. My goal is to bring fossil science to the people, and these live streams made that much easier. Would you like me to put the Fieldwork streams into playlists? That would be great, Claire Burr, actually, yeah. And big shout out to Claire Burr, who uploaded all of those VODs to YouTube. Yeah. Anyway, based on the socks, there you go, Muso. And Eric Loves Nawal says, how is the weather where you are? It rained hard for 24 hours straight, which is unusual at any time in LA, but especially in August. Yeah, let me show you what the weather is like where I am right now. I think this is the right link. Let's see here. Webcams, Oakland. This is not too far from where I am. It is nice and beautiful and sunny where I am right now. Because, of course, I am broadcasting to you live from the gorgeous, usually sunny during the daytime, San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah, we'll see about doing some streams from other locations in the Bay Area, not just from my office sometimes. But yeah, right now, this is a live webcam not too far from where I am. These are current conditions. That's San Francisco off there in the distance. This is the island of Alameda right here. And this is Oakland over here. There's those big shipping container cranes at the port of Oakland. The ones that some people say inspired the famous AT-AT walkers from The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. And looks foggy or smoky? Not really. It's just, there's a little bit of a haze right now, Claire Burr. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Yeah. Let's put the last few of our bones onto our Allosaurus skull 3D print. And then let's get into some other stuff. I believe we might have a dinosaur deep dive to go to. And then we're going to take a look at this old documentary from the 1990s, hosted by Walter Cronkite, about dinosaurs. We'll see some paleontologists that we know in there, and we'll be talking about how much fossil science has, especially dinosaur science, has advanced since the 1990s. So yeah. Oh, and Arle says there was a small fire that was put out in nearby Martinez, so it is a little hazy. Well, okay. Yeah, you can barely even see the Bay Bridge right there. On a really clear day, you could see the Golden Gate Bridge behind it. But that might not be today. Yeah. That piece is really coming along? I think so, Amelia Bedelia. I think so. It's so big, it's like, it's not even gonna fit properly in frame. Ah! Exciting stuff. And man, when it gets those teeth in there, that is really going to be something. I can't wait. Ah. Now let's get those last few pieces glued on. And I think I can just use the cyanoacrylate for this. This is tricky because this is such a big piece. Like, how do I even fit it on the desk in view of the camera? Put it like that. We have one little piece is gonna go under here, like, and few bits. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. What's shaking with you? And what brings you to this part of the internet? It's good to have you. Thanks for following. There we go. So that piece is gonna fit on right there. Let's just get this bad boy glued on. I might have to re-puncture this with the safety pin. I'm really trying to get all the glue I can out of this bottle, trying to be as unwasteful as is possible. And hang on a minute. What is this? Uh-oh, few bits. Oh, shoot. You've overloaded our Tinamou bird.
Few_bits is overloading the system with 10 gift subs.
Holy cow. Few bits. Thank you very, very much for that. I appreciate that tremendously.
Blaming the dinosaurs.
Let it glue.
And I often do, Wombat Hole. Let it glue. We're gluing it right now. Yeah, good stuff. Holy cow. I appreciate that, few bits. 10 gift subs immediately after a follow? What is that about? Thank you very, very much for your support. I appreciate that more than you know. Thank you, and welcome to the channel here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's great to make your acquaintance. Glad you could join us. Yeah. And Kennedy, it is funny, different place names, how they have abbreviations like that. Here's a tip. Locals in the Bay Area, we don't refer to San Francisco as San Fran. We just call it the city. You know? And we certainly don't call it Frisco. People from Los Angeles call it Frisco. We call it the city. Yeah, there you go. My dad can back me up on this. Arle was born in the city. He knows what's up. But, yeah. Alright, that's pretty good. That's gluing on there nicely. Let's put our final piece on for today. This is a piece upper maxilla there. That is going to go on just like that. There's a little bit of wiggle on this, which is... It's slightly non-reassuring like that, but... You know what, we'll make it work. I am going to put a little bit of Gorilla Glue on there first, though, because for whatever reason, it seems like the Gorilla Glue before the cyanoacrylate helps a good amount. It adds some nice volume to things. And then the super glue, the cyanoacrylate, is a nice accelerant on it to make sure it seems like both of them cure more quickly when you put them on in combination. All right. Hang on, that's not right. Shoot.
Here's a step-by-step guide to becoming a fossil.
There we go.
Step 1, die.
Uh-oh. Nell, thank you for the 14 months of support. I appreciate that more than you know, Nell. Thank you very, very much. That is excellent. And I appreciate you for it, Nell. Alright, I gotta hold this together while it cures. And this is an Allosaurus fragilis, Tomast. Allosaurus, the most common big theropod in the Morrison Formation. The late Jurassic of North America. Latest Jurassic. And there we go. Lovely. Excellent. That is really coming together. Once this is fully assembled, I'm actually going to take some water putty
And I'm going to fill in some of the gaps right here. So like this bone and this bone here, and this bone, they're all actually the same bone. This is the maxilla. This one too. So this crack here, this crack here, this crack here, those are going to get filled in with water putty. Because I want to help illustrate which are the same bones and which aren't. In order to get this thing to the point where you can 3D print it on the size 3D printer that I have, the artist had to break the bones up into different pieces. And so he had to get a little bit creative with that. And, you know, fair enough. But we can be creative in another direction and make this a little bit more scientifically authentic by making those actual bone sutures more evident by getting rid of all the, you know, getting rid of the noise, just bringing the signal to the forefront, so to speak. So yeah. Good stuff. And Amelia Bedelia says, Danny, thank you so much for the educational stream. I really enjoy learning. I really appreciate you saying so, Amelia Bedelia. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for being here, for your ongoing support. It means a lot. Yeah. Do you have to 3D print the teeth? I will indeed, Cactus Jack, just like I did for the lower jaw. Here, I'm going to carefully set this down on the ground. So that I can show you the lower jaw with the teeth already printed. We put this together back in April or maybe May. Take a look at that. The lower jaw of our Allosaurus. It is, it's pretty substantial. It's large. Yeah. I mean, take a look. Holy cow. That is a big set of lower jaws. Oh, yeah. We're just working on the rest of the skull now. And do dinosaurs have baby teeth? Asked Wombat Hole. Yes and no. Here, let me show you a quick little clip to kind of illustrate this point. There we go. Here is my old boss, Jack Horner, on an old piece from 60 Minutes, talking about Tyrannosaurus and its teeth. Yep. Yep. I love how like blown away she is by that. But yeah, dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus, dinosaurs that had teeth at least, they replaced their teeth all the time. Just a constant supply of teeth. So unlike us mammals, who, you know, we only have 2 sets of teeth for our whole lives, dinosaurs had a never-ending supply of teeth. As long as they're alive, they are growing new sets of teeth, and the new teeth are pushing out the old teeth all the time. So they didn't really have baby teeth like that, unless you could say that they have baby teeth being replaced by adult teeth their whole lives. I don't know. It depends how you want to look at it. But a never-ending supply of teeth, just like a conveyor belt of teeth. This does not apply to dinosaurs such as, say, for instance, the ornithomimids. These guys had no teeth. Toothless beak. And so, obviously, toothless dinosaurs, they did not replace their teeth their whole lives because they didn't have teeth. But all the toothed dinosaurs had a constant supply of new teeth all the time.
Yeah. Axeman says all those teeth and no toothbrush. Must be why they were so mean. I mean, that's the thing, is you don't really need to take care of your teeth that much if you have them for less than a year. If you get a totally new set of teeth yearly, you can afford to not be too careful about your teeth. Wish we had that luxury. Yeah, this is also true for sharks. In fact, this is true for most animals that have got teeth. Mammals are a weird exception. So mammals, of course, are creatures that feed their young with milk. So, you know, mammals. Elephants and kangaroos, manatees and whales, deer and aardvarks and anteaters and seals and zebras and bats and people. We're all mammals. Mammals typically have two sets of teeth. Because somewhere along the way, they traded quantity of teeth for quality of teeth, in a certain sense. And let's see if I can find that clip, because this is a really lovely illustration of that. Here we go, with paleontologist Neil Shubin in the documentary series Your Inner Fish. Here we go.
For chasing prey. These ancient innovations were the precursors to the molars we have in our mouths today.
Yep. So the really cool thing about paleontology is that it gives us context that we would never otherwise have when we're learning about the world around us, or indeed learning about ourselves. If we can go back and look at the history of our lineage, go back to like the ancestry of the mammals, we can see where certain traits first developed, and that gives us some context as to why those may have developed in the first place and what good they are for. Oh, by the way, here's paleontologist Roger Smith. He was at the conference that I was at back in June. I sat next to him for most of the last day of the conference during all the talks. He's a cool guy. We got to talk for a while.
Right, a mouth of molars. Couldn't eat the apple. Mouth of incisors. I couldn't eat the whatever you call this. It's good, by the way.
Guava roll.
Guava roll. Thank you for having molars, because I'm glad I could do this one.
You know, but the humble tooth is very important for our lives today.
Yep.
Every time you bite into an apple, right, that is a very complex behavior. Our front
It is.
teeth, the incisors, bite into that apple, and they do so in almost a perfect way. The teeth occlude in a very fixed pattern, a very precise pattern.
So the thing is, mammal teeth have precision like this.
Tooth-to-tooth occlusion.
Yeah.
Except when things go wrong. Except when we crack a tooth or something like that.
Sorry, the closed captions are out of sync here.
Make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And there's nothing in here that isn't supposed to be.
Wonderfully complex teeth might allow us to have a great bite, but it's come at a price.
There's a trade-off.
You know, one of the things that's interesting to think about is, you know, the consequences of the reptile-mammal transition are the fact that we need dentists. It's really
Thank you.
You're right. Thanks. Thank you, South African fossils.
Thank you very much.
I mean, reptiles don't need dentists, right? Because they're producing lots of teeth throughout their lives. You know, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
They produce them, they're out of there.
Most reptiles, like the snake, grow multiple sets of teeth in their lifetime. There's a constant stream of new teeth erupting in their mouths.
Yep.
But after we lose our baby teeth, we're left with one adult set to last us the rest of our lives.
Yep. So we pay a price for having that very precise bite.
But there is a plus side. It allows us to develop our very precise bite.
If you're continually replacing your teeth, right? I mean, I think it would be hard to get that, you know, micron scale occlusion, which is so really important to us.
You're right. When we lose a tooth, the changes that occur to compensate for the loss of that tooth and the space that it held has a profound effect on our occlusions.
The reason our rows of teeth match up so precisely is that our ancestors reduced the number of sets that they produced.
This is so cool.
We've made up for that by strengthening our teeth with extra roots and thick enamel, to help them last a lifetime, along with a little help from our dentists.
That's neat. I'll have to take a better look when I go to the zoo with my kids. The reptile house is not my favorite place.
Yeah,
Neil,
it's
so
not a-
I would like them in the form you find them.
Dead?
Yeah, dead 200 million years.
For my dentist, Roger's tales from the Karoo would be the stuff of nightmares.
Anyway, when we're talking about teeth and the kind of different evolutionary strategies around them, I hope that's helpful. You know? Fishes, amphibians, reptiles, including birds, and including dinosaurs, they all replace their teeth all the time. Mammals are a weird group where a long time ago, our ancestors kind of went down the path of precision in bites, like parts interlocking exactly. Really precise occlusion. So in order to do that, you can't have as many new teeth all the time. You just get 2 sets, and they occlude perfectly, and then you're done. It's a different kind of strategy. It's good for some things, it's bad for other things. Everything's a trade-off. But that is the one that we're stuck with, and that's, you know, it's a result of our evolutionary history, which is pretty cool to think about. So yeah, with that said, why don't we go ahead and get into this. I found this, in fact, like a series of documentaries over the weekend. And I'm kind of excited to share them with you. I never got to see these when I was a kid. So it's not like this has nostalgic value for me, but I think this is going to be interesting. In that, it's going to help us talk about how dinosaur science has changed over the past 30 years. So here's famed broadcaster Walter Cronkite. In fact, maybe we should even pull up a quick video about Walter Cronkite. Yeah. Well, here we go. Shoot. 50 years ago, Walter Cronkite called for... Well, 55 years ago, Walter Cronkite called for the U.S. to get out of Vietnam, for instance.
It seems now more certain than ever that the bloody experience of Vietnam is to end in a stalemate.
This guy...
It is increasingly clear to this reporter that the only rational way out then will be to negotiate, not as victors, but as an honorable people who lived up to their pledge to defend democracy.
This was huge. And this is one of the big reasons why the U.S. pulled out of Vietnam.
That was Walter Cronkite 50 years ago tonight. 33 days later, President Johnson announced he would not run for re-election. Years later, Cronkite reflected on Johnson's decision.
I don't think our broadcast had a principal effect on that, but I think it was a straw on the back of a lot of indications that he was unhappy
it's not a
with the progress.
A cause of that, but it's one of the symptoms of it, rather.
Ought to get out.
Yeah. Anyway, Walter Cronkite, a giant in broadcast media, and back in the 1990s, he did this little series of dinosaur documentaries, and now those are available on YouTube. Let me give you the link right here, just so you've got it. There you go. And, yeah. Oh, but the Tolkino Taku says, now I must bemoan the fact that my mammalian bite is far from the ideal. My mouth was too small for all the teeth in it, and I needed so many extractions as a kid. That's honestly true for most people, where because we as human beings are fairly new to walking upright and holding our jaw at like this angle like this, you know, our lower jaw, our mandible has become shortened, and we don't have room for those wisdom teeth anymore. So most people need to have those removed. You know, that's an example of evolution in action. You know, that's like a holdover from an earlier time when we had a longer mandible. So that's true for most people. I, on the other hand, have never had to have any wisdom teeth removed because I don't have any wisdom teeth. I've got a semi-rare mutation where I have like 1/4 of one wisdom tooth, and that was really it. So wisdom teeth are kind of on their way out, I suppose. But yeah, there's different mutations throughout a population. I have the one with no full wisdom teeth. So yeah, interesting, Tolkien. Yeah. The wisdom teeth just popped out of my gums like flowers from snow. Really, Tolkien? That's interesting. Huh. And Musaica was born with only 3 wisdom teeth. Very interesting. Yeah. And Caravan says, I have the tie-in to the Cronkite dinosaur series. You do? What do you mean? Let's take a look. It's so quiet.
150 million years ago, the
There's
world
that voice.
was a younger, more turbulent planet.
Slightly younger.
Terrifying prehistoric creatures.
What is this?
Time when dinosaurs ruled supreme.
This is not from a documentary. This is from... Shoot, I know what this is from. This is from the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios. Right here. So these brachiosaurs like this were probably high treetop browsers. They're probably exploiting a food resource that other long-necked dinosaurs couldn't get to, the tops of these trees.
Brachiosaurus means arm lizard. It got its name because of the extraordinary length of its arms, up to 15 feet. These arms gave it a giraffe-like posture, ideal for reaching up into the trees where it would nip off vegetation using chisel-shaped teeth. Studies of the bone tell us that unlike modern reptiles, it grew fast, achieving its huge size in a few short years.
Yep. Apart from the, the sort of goofy-looking puppets and stop-motion animation, mostly puppets, this is pretty excellent, pretty excellent stuff here. Like, this is not super out of date, except for these kind of clunky special effects sequences.
Today, even bigger dinosaurs than the Berlin specimen are slowly being uncovered.
Yep.
The focus has shifted back to America. Here at the Dry Mesa Quarry in Colorado, the bones of the biggest dinosaurs ever are being found.
Yep. The funny thing is, you're going to hear about probably, like, Ultrasaurus? Ultrasaurus is probably just a very large Brachiosaurus. It's probably the same dinosaur. I was talking with Jim Kirkland about this summer. I'm like, whatever happened to Ultrasaurus or Ultrasauros? Jim's like, nah, pretty much all sauropod workers today agree that that's just a very large Brachiosaurus.
Because of the sheer size of the bones, picks and shovels are no longer enough.
That's something, Doug. Been interesting. Yeah,
Argentinosaurus is not just a different species, not just a different genus, it's a totally different family of sauropods. Argentinosaurus is a titanosaur. They're from much later in the Cretaceous period, so much, much different from Brachiosaurus, yeah.
We're sitting on top probably of the biggest jigsaw puzzle in the world. This site in Colorado contains the bones of the biggest animals ever to roam the planet. But
You can see there's Jim Jensen right there, I think, in the red shirt and the sun helmet, probably.
Get those bones out of this hard rock takes a combination of brute force and surgical precision.
Ken, what's the process of getting bones out of this hard rock here?
First of all, we bring a dozer in and cut this overburden down, and we take it down as close as we dare to the top of the deposit.
So yeah, man, it must be nice to have heavy equipment like that, not to have to move everything by hand.
Well, we start with air tools. We have jackhammers, medium-sized jackhammers, small jackhammers, mainly just to move rock. But when we discover a bone, then we usually move to smaller tools like the awl and the hammer.
Yep. So those of you who saw our fieldwork streams this summer are very familiar with those tools. I was using those pretty much all stream long, just about every stream.
Look like they've been varnished or lacquered or something.
They have. As we uncover them, we put shellac on them to help hold pieces in place and make the bone a little stronger until we can work around it and get it collected. These bones have been covered on top with the strips of burlap and plaster.
Yep, jacketing. Many jacketing streams this summer, you guys will remember.
To cut loose
Yeah,
and over.
and shellac, that's actually very old-fashioned, to use shellac on bones. Nowadays, we use penetrating glues, what we call consolidants, like PVA glue, polyvinyl acetate, you know, things like acryloid or Vinac or Bootvar, stuff like that. Shellac is very old school, very old school.
We can cover the underside. And then there'll
Nice
be a
jacket flip there.
completely wrapped package, such as this one. This one's ready to be loaded on the truck and transported back to the university.
Dr. Wade Miller is the current director of the Earth Sciences Museum at Brigham Young University.
That's correct.
Doctor, how big did these things that are being found around here get to be?
The dinosaurs that are coming out of this quarry are, at least not all of them, but some of them larger than any that have been found elsewhere in the world. So that's why we're excited about this site. This one, which has been called Supersaurus, estimated maybe at a length of 120 to 130 feet, making it maybe 30-some feet larger than Diplodocus and proportionally larger all over. So it's a huge dinosaur. What we discovered...
I think Supersaurus might be the only one of these that's still valid. Supersaurus. There we go. Yeah. Still valid, I think. And it's based on a scapula and a bunch of other stuff too, I think. Anyway, I actually live streamed this in the past. This is the Supersaurus skeleton at the Museum of Ancient Life in Thanksgiving Point, Lehi, Utah. Yeah, some of you who were here for that last summer might remember it. But yeah. Cool stuff.
With this one was that it was hollow inside. Now that had never been found before. The opening would have been 2 or 3 times this in life. There are little pieces of bone that we found in there, and in other areas we found out that they were actually running vertically, showing that these were used as struts. That is, little pieces to support, much like corrugated cardboard, for the same reason, to have light weight and yet a maximum amount of strength. So again...
Yeah, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Supersaurus, Felaheen. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
In answer to your question, what the animal did was to have kind of an engineering marvel here of hollowing out the bone in areas that weren't known before.
So in other words, you can have fairly light bone structure and still have a heavy animal, as you suggest, 50 tons or so. This is just another bit of evidence of the fact that paleontology is really a detective job.
It really is. It is. It's like
putting one clue to another and finally coming to a conclusion.
It is. It's exactly like being a detective. And I think that's what makes it so interesting, to be able to find these things and then predict other things and then find more evidence that either supports your prediction or does not, and then you go on to something else.
Jim Jensen has been doing exactly that. He thinks he's found a real winner, a whopper, even for dinosaurs.
That dig's not only fascinating, but the scenery's glorious down the valley. Hi, good morning.
Yeah, that is him in the red shirt. I thought it was. And look, he's got a U.S. military sun helmet, just like I use in the field.
Jim, how did you get involved in this whole thing of digging up dinosaur bones?
Well, it started when I was a small boy.
Maybe we can sit down over here.
Yeah, let's do.
After 60 years of searching, Dinosaur Jim's unconventional career has finally paid off.
My interest in fossils began when I was a little kid.
Jim is basically a self-tutored man. How in the world did you get recognition from the academic fraternity?
At Brigham Young University, I was curator of the geology department. But I wanted to establish a museum, but they wouldn't let me use the word museum. But I had stationery printed up anyway with the Earth Sciences Museum. I was curator of the Earth Sciences Museum, something that didn't exist. And after several years, I thought I might as well be director, so I promoted myself to director, had some new stationery printed up. Then I would conduct business with the director of the Natural History Museum in Paris. But then your fame doesn't come from sitting in the laboratory picking away at bone. It comes from what you find. In Montana, I found a big skull. I could barely reach the width of it, 6 feet wide and nearly 9 feet long. When I plastered it up, it weighed 1.5 tons, so it's out in the Badlands. So how do I get it out?
Triceratops, I presume.
Worked as a longshoreman handling heavy things. I worked as a truck driver, and I knew how to stomp down fences, so there was no problem getting it out. I continued collecting material, and eventually amounted to a tremendous amount underneath the University Stadium, and I consider that one of my triumphs, is to get some of the athletic department space to put my bones in.
Jim Jensen's big find really is a whopping great dinosaur. He calls it Ultrasaurus, the ultimate in big dinosaurs.
Not here, Walter. I'd like to show you something.
So it's just a big brachiosaurus, basically.
Oh, for heaven's sake. What's that? Well, the New York Giants have never played in the stadium, but had they done so, this is something that might have been left behind.
I suspect you knew we were coming.
Yeah.
That joke, oh boy.
Right, he needs the university's 60,000-seat stadium. So far, though, he's only found a leg and a shoulder blade. What the whole skeleton would do to the home team is anyone's guess.
What I can't figure out, Jim, is how you figured out what this model of a dinosaur leg should really look like.
So it's just the scapula that he has, I think.
Of a group that were plant eaters. They walked around on four legs, had a long neck, long tail. So we know the type of dinosaur it was.
So with that size, with the feet here on the 33-yard line, the tail would be back there somewhere around the 40-yard line of the opposition.
Yeah. So again, Ultrasaurus. Probably just a very, very large brachiosaurus. Oh boy. That's great.
Although the dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago, you'd never know
66
it at New
now.
York's biggest toy store. Here, dinosaurs are big business, generating millions of sales and enthralling kids of all ages. Candies, balloons, sweatshirts, you name it, somebody will stick a dinosaur on it.
He's killing it! Whoa!
You're gonna push him right off the cliff.
Whoa! And he's charging!
Oh, but he'll crush them all. He's too big, the T-Rex. That's the problem. That's why it was called a Rex.
No, but it's
the king of the all.
But it's three against two.
You might...
Are these Dino Riders toys? I think they are. I never really had these as a kid, but occasionally you'd see them in, like, garage sales and stuff.
You might think that you couldn't come up with anything new on dinosaurs. Well, one fellow did. He was a toy inventor, looking for something new for his own children's Christmas. So he asked them, and he came up with a moneymaker that has astounded the entire American toy industry.
In 1985, Jim Alley needed a winner.
Who? What?
Toys were a cutthroat business. For him, gloom already had set in.
It was the day after Christmas, and my kids had just gotten all the robots they could ever stand.
I love how he says the word robot. Robot. All the robots they could ever stand.
My kids had just gotten all the robots they could ever stand. And I knew that I was looking for the next thing that would make kids really excited. And I thought, gee, what was the one theme that kids didn't have any toys to play with? And it came to me right away that my kids, and when I was a child, the same thing, everybody likes dinosaurs. And the kids really need something with dinosaur toys. And you just couldn't give a kid a couple of dinosaurs to play with. You had to give them a reason to play with the dinosaurs. So
what?
I came
No,
up with the
you don't
idea
need a reason.
of Dino Riders.
Great.
Now these guys
Oh,
are all
boy.
in exact scale to the dinosaur. So this is
Yes,
like these
yes.
are like 5'10", and this is how big the dinosaur
That's
was.
how
Really
big
big.
he really would be. Mhm.
Okay. And all the dinosaurs are like, they're all in scale to each other then
Yes,
too.
yes,
Okay,
they are.
great.
Mhm. That's a
I hope the good guys
typical.
have a weapon that's as good as the bad guys. It got us into the international scene. It was a big thing for us in the United States. We developed a TV show that went on the air around Dino Riders. We were the first toy company to come
This all
up
feels
with
like a
a
commercial.
video cassette to promote a product category. It made us a big-time company. Kids
good for them.
love Dino Riders. It's a concept that has been able to be interpreted around the world because every kid has that fantasy about dinosaurs and that they were real
but they're kind of mystical and they're kind of scary, but they're big and real and really, truly exciting.
You've come a long way to die, youngster.
Oh boy.
Looking for someone? Short breath? I'll be back, youngster.
Getting a little bit more campy as we go on.
Marvels of the animal.
Anyway, with that having been said, I've been streaming for over 4 hours at this point. I need to... well, this is looking good, but I need to go actually do some TwitchCon stuff, send some emails out, and do some science things also this evening after I get some exercise. I've been cooped up inside for much of the day. It's about time for me to wrap up today's broadcast. So, without further ado, I think we'll continue this documentary at another time, maybe tomorrow. But let's start wrapping up for today. Throw up a Smilodon there to run our credits over. Let's find somebody that we can raid right now. Maybe somebody else doing some science? Let's see here. Let's go tune into Astro Canuck and see what he is up to. There we go. Yeah. Anyway, thank you to everybody whose names are showing up here in the credits. I appreciate you, from the quietest of the lurkers and viewers to the most rambunctious of chatters. And of course, those financial supporters who have kept me here on the air since I started. Thank you so much for that. Couldn't do this sort of thing without your help. Tomorrow we'll be back with more paleontological Q&A, more assembly of our Allosaurus 3D print, and I think we'll go over some fossil news tomorrow also. But until then, everybody, you take care of yourselves. Thank you again for everything. And, I'll see you soon. We're gonna go check out Astro Canuck and hear about some rocket launches and some astronomy. I'll see you there, everybody. Take care. Thanks again. And bye-bye.